Seif Tes. V'yesh loymar, as das is euch merumas in Shem Hanifteres Chaya Mushka. This is also hinted to in the name of the Rebbetzin Chaya Mushka. Chaya, Meloshen Chayim. The word Chaya is from the expression of Chayim, life, is Merames ungetev klolas Chaye Hanashama, and it hints to the general life of the soul, Chelek Eloka Mimal Mamish, which is a veritable part of God, was ver nimshach von Mekoyer HaChayim be'atzmusa Yisbarach, which is drawn from the source of life, the essence of Hashem. In Chayas HaNashama Gufa, in the energy and life of the soul itself, Zainen Faran Bechlolas Zwei Dargas. There are in general two levels. Aleph, first, Chayas Prati, Pnimi. There is the individual life and inner life of the soul. Oir v'chayas hanashama, this is the light and life of the soul, was is sich mislabish ba'ofen pnimi uprati, which is clothed in an inward and detailed way in dem guf, in the body, und in the koiches pnimim, and in the inner soul powers of the body. Base, and secondly, chayas klali, there's a general life energy, makif hanashama, the peripheral light of the soul. Was is lamaila mehislabshus ba'ofen pnimi in dem guf, which is transcendent of the energy that comes within the body. Ubechlalas drickt sich es ois in die koiches makifim rotzim v'tainug. And in general, it manifests itself in the peripheral powers of willpower and delight. V'yesh loyma, and one may say, as die zwei inyonim seinen merumes in die zwei nemen chaya mushka, that these two are hinted to in the two names chaya mushka. Chaya geht beikar auf die chayas pnimi. When we say chaya, we refer principally to the inner part of the soul, that which comes within the body. Welche ballet dem guf bederech islabshutz pnimis, which vivifies the body in an inner way. Und mushka, was is amin reach besamim, and mushka, which is a type of sweet smelling spice, umevarchin olav boire mine besamim, upon which one makes the bracha boire mine besamim, ulekama deos, and according to many opinions, is das eine von the Yudalev Samamone HaKetores Moir, it is one of the 11 spices in the Ketores called myrrh, Gate oif makif hanashama. That refers to the peripheral powers of the soul. Ki yodua as reach is an initial makif, as is known that scent is a peripheral soul power. Nitvi meichel, unlike food, was mistoyim, which is tasted, on es geht herein bepnimius, and is ingested and digested, ver damu basa kibsorei, and is transformed to flesh and blood. Reach is meishiv a nefesh. Reach, smell or scent, has the power to return the soul. Was der far machmen boire mine besame b'masa Shabbos, which is the reason why we make the bracha boire mine besame on Motzei Shabbos, kedei lahashev es nefesh, in order to restore the soul, shehi doi eves, which is sad, lietzias haShabbos, at the termination of Shabbos. Bishvil hanashama yeseda shaholcha, because the additional soul that was apparent on Shabbos, on Motzei Shabbos goes, and therefore we smell besamim in order to restore the soul. Vorum reach, because smell, was der Grecht in Makev Hanashama, which reaches to the peripheral levels of the soul, hat bekoyach to mamshech sein a chayes chodosh in dem guf. has the power to draw down new energy into the body. Biz nochmer haneshama nenis min hareach. And in fact, the soul has benefit from the scent itself. Ubichlalas, and in general, in the chamisha shemes shenikru la lahaneshama, in the 5 names that the soul is called, Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chaya, Yechida, which, by the way, the Rebbe says in footnote 66, the Rosh Tevis of the Rebbetzin Chaya Mushka Shneasen is Chomesh. In these Chomesh, in these 5 names of the soul, Gate Chaya, the level of Chaya, the name Chaya, goes Oif Neran, goes on the 3 names Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Pnimius, which are the inner soul powers. Un Mushka, Reach, and Mushka, which refers to the scent, Gate of Chaya Yechida Makifim, refers to the 2 names of the soul of Chaya and Yechiva, which are the peripheral soul powers. Ubipratius Yeshlema, and in more detail we can say, as Chaya Gate of Chaya Shebeneshama, Makiv Hakore Velapnimi, Chaya goes on the level Chaya of the soul, which is a closer Makiv to the inner soul powers. Un Mushka Yechida, and Mushka refers to Yechida, the quintessence of the soul, which is the Makif of the Makif, the Neshama of the Neshama. Biz oif etzam Neshama, to the level of the essence of the soul, Shalamayla mehachamisha shemesh nikru la. The soul has 5 names, but then there is the essence of the soul, which is even transcendent of the 5 names of the soul. Was von dorten be'etzem is reach mamshech achayes chodesh, which from there the scent brings down a new energy, un hana v'tainug, and benefit and delight in nefesh ha'odam, into a person. Beshas die 2 Werte, Chaya Mushka, kommen zusammen als ein Nomen von ein Menschen, and when these 2 names, Chaya Mushka, come together as one name of a single person, Badaitas dem Chibur v'ichud, it expresses the unity and fusion von beide Inyanim zusammen, of both concepts together. As der Gilui von Makif ve'etzem hanashama, that the revelation of the peripheral and essence levels of the soul, Achad Asar, the number 11, Keneged the Yudal of Samamoni Hagatoris, corresponding to the 11 spices in the Katoris, Ver Nimshach Venis Labesh, is drawn and clothed, Nitznor Be'ofen Makif, not only in a peripheral manner, Vidos is durch Reach Alein, which is through scent, nor Oich Be'ofen Pnimi, but it's also drawn inwardly, in dem Guf, in the body, und in the Eser Koichas Pnimim, and in the 10 inner soul powers. V'yesh loimer, and one can say, as das kommt vom Bechinis Yechida shebeneshama, this comes from the level of Yechida in the soul, wie sie is ein Sach mit dem Yochid shalamayla, as it is at one with the one and only above, Yechida liachdach, the level of oneness of Hashem, und noch mehr, and even more so, von etzem hanashama, from the essence of the soul, la, it itself, wie sie is ein Sach mit Tatzmusa Yisbarach, as the soul is completely united with the essence of Hashem. Yisrael v'kutshebrichu kol echad, as it says that Yidden and the Eibishter are all one. Was is hecha sai far makifim und sai far pnimim, a level which transcends the peripheral and the inner levels. The Riber hat bekoyach zu sei mechaber und ma'achad sein, which therefore allows it to fuse both of the levels, ala chamisha shemes yachad begolui, bringing together all 5 names of the soul together in a revealed manner. Und das wird aufgetan begoli durch Torah. And that is achieved in a revealed way through Torah. Kiyodua, as is known, as durch Eiraisa wird niskala v'Yisrael v'kutshabrichu kol echad. That through Torah it is revealed that Yidden and Hashem are one. Was euch in Torah seinen voran die 2 Darges und Chibra Shneim. Because in Torah itself you also have these 2 levels and the level of their fusion. Al derech die 2 Darges in Torah von Aseres HaDibros und Achadasor, like the 2 levels in Torah of the 10 Commandments and number 11, Anochi Miyuchad Shabasara, und die Chaf Beiseisius HaTorah and the 22 letters of the Torah, was is Zei Beiden Mechaber, which joins them together. Nigla the Torah, you have the level of the revealed levels of Torah, Chayas Pnimi, which is an inner energy and life force, and Pnimius HaTorah. And then you have the essence and deeper Pnimius inner dimension of the Torah, which is Reach, scent, which is Makiv, which is peripheral. Soid Ta'ameha, the secrets, Umisteretz Funeiseha, and hidden matters of the Torah. Was Galia de Eiraisa farbin Galia de Neshama mit Galia de Kutshabrichu, which the revealed parts of the Torah connect the revealed parts of the soul with the revealed parts of Hashem. Und Sasim de Eiraisa farbin Sasim de Neshama mit Sasim de Kutshabrichu, and the hidden and concealed elements of Torah connect the hidden and concealed parts of the soul with the concealed levels of Hashem. Und durch Chibur Shneim Yachad, and by fusing them both together, Chaya Mushka, Bekoyach HaEtzem, which is achieved by the power of the essence, Shalamayla Misasim Vegalia, which transcends both the external and the internal levels of Torah, Veren ze ein Sach Begolui, they become one in a revealed way. That the hidden parts of the Torah, the hidden parts of the soul, and the hidden parts of Hashem, biz atzmusay umuhusay yizborach, until the very essence of Hashem, kumt begolui mamish, comes literally revealed in Galia de Kutshabrichu, in the revealed parts of Hashem, Galia de Torah, the revealed parts of the Torah, and Galia de Neshama, and in the revealed parts of the soul. Ubeloshen hakosa b'reish parshas mishpatim, expressing it in scriptural terms as it does at the beginning of the parsha of Mishpatim, ve'ela hamishpatim ashatosim lifneihem. These are the laws which you shall set before them. As oich tosim miloshen sima va'oitzer shabatayra, that also tosim, which is an expression of the hidden treasure of the Torah, Pnimius HaTorah, welch is mitadatzmoi sosim begonos, which in and of itself is a hidden treasure, steht be'ofen golui, stands in a revealed way, ve'ela, and these, biz be'ofen von lifnehem, being in front of the hidden, bip lifnimiusam, and placed inside them, in their inner pnimius. Like a laid table before a person who can readily eat from it. Seif Yud. Al Pizeh, according to this, wird man verstehen dem koyach, we will understand the power was mahot zu oifton, which we have to achieve, dem chidush, the novelty, was is zugekommen nach Chaf Bei Shvat, which comes after Chaf Bei Shvat. As euch die Welt esser, that also the world, which is number 10, soll sein muchen und muchsher, should be prepared and ready to mekabel sein den gilui von achadasar, to receive the revelation of number 11, shalamayla me'olam, which transcends the world, adira lo yisbarach betachtein betachlis ashlemus, creating a dwelling place for Hashem, complete and whole, Bigul amitzes v'hashlema, as it will be by the true redemption. Durch dem was der etzem hanashama von a Yidden. This is achieved through the very essence of the soul of a Jew, was is kol echad mitatz musa yisbarach, which is one with the essence of Hashem. Steht begolui, stands in a revealed way in seine esse koichas hanefesh pnimim, in their 10 inner soul powers. Kemurumas in Shem hanifteres, as hinted to in the name of the Rebbetzin. Noisef to them remes in them misper hayoim, which in addition to the hint in the number of the day, Chav Beis l'chodesh achad asar, the 22nd day of the 11th month, as we've mentioned beforehand, Gittes im euch dem koyach to oifton in Welt, it empowers a person to achieve in the world, bis in ganz seder ishtalshelus, in the entire chain order of creation, welche stellt sich aus in Esser, which expresses itself in the number 10, the hamshocha v'gilui, the drawing down and the revelation von achadasar, of the number 11, and to chad v'la b'chushben, you being one but not in a numerical sense. Azoy as the ganze Welt, so much so that the entire world, tachtoinim mitzad atzmam heim, the lower worlds, in their own parameters, should become a dwelling place for the very essence of Hashem. Seif Yodalev. Al pi hanal, according to the above, vet me verstehen, we will understand farvos der chidush mechav bei Shvat, why the novelty of the 22nd of Shvat drik sich ois davke benige de histalkos von bitei shal kvei kedushas moire b'chami admon de siderenu, why it expresses itself specifically in the passing of the daughter of the Friedricher Rebbe. Keshem vi by Geulas Mitzrayim, just as by the Exodus of Egypt, Zogen Chazal. Chazal say, as b'schar noshen tzidkone shehoyu b'oisei hadoyer nigalu Yisrael mitzrayim, that in the merits of the righteous women of that generation, the Yidden were redeemed from Egypt. Azoy is das euch benegeh to the gulo hasida lavoi. So too is it in reference to the coming redemption. Oy welche steht, about which it says, Ki meitzeischa me'eretz Mitzrayim arena niflois. Like the days of the Exodus of Egypt, I will show you wonders. As das vet zayin bischar u bischus noshen tzidkone shebe'oisa hadoyer, which will be in the merit and as a reward of the righteous women in that generation. K'maymer Azal, as Chazal say, ein hadoyer is nigolem elo bischar noshen tzidkone yeshiyesh badoyer, that the generations are only redeemed in the merit of the righteous women in the generation. Ubefrat al pi hamuvuir in Kisvei HaArizal, especially as explained in the writings of the Arizal, as der Doir ha'achrin in Golus is a gilgul from Doir Yetzer Mitzrayim, that the last generation of Golus is a reincarnation of the generation that was going out of Mitzrayim. Was das is fundi taimim, which that is one of the reasons of der hishtadlus miuchedes, for the special effort von Kvei Kedushes Moire B'chami Admud Siderenu of the Friedricher Rebbe in dem chinuch v'hadracha von Neshei Ubnois Yisrael, in the education of Jewish women and daughters, in alle inyanim von Yiddishkeit, for all matters of Yiddishkeit, Torah u'mitzveiseha koilol, inclusive, in limud hachsidus v'hafotzes hamayonos chutza, that women and girls should learn chassidus and spread and disseminate the teachings of chassidus widely. Vorum zeindig der der achron von Golus, because since we are the last generation of Golus, und der der harishon von Geula, and the first generation of redemption, is demot noch mer negea, then it's much more pertinent the avodah from Neshei B'nai Yisrael, the avodah of women and Jewish daughters, was bischusim kum de Gula, because it's in their merit that the Gula comes. Oib dos is azoi b'nigeh to alle Neshei B'nai Yisrael, and if that's the case for all Jewish women and daughters, Alachas kama v'kama, how much more so? Benigeh to Bitoy from the Nesidah Reina Atzmai, in reference to the daughter of the Rebbe himself, welche is nischanach geworden durch Nesidah Reina v'chulu, who was educated by the Rebbe. Und euch la'achrei his talkusa, and even after her passing, vert nimshach ir hashpa, her influence is felt, ubifrat, especially as kama v'kama mibnois Yisrael nikrois al shema, that so many daughters are named after her. Und durch sehr Hanhage, and through their conduct, beweisen sie a lebendigen Beispiel, they provide a living example, als lebendige Neshamas in lebendige Gufim, lively souls in lively bodies, as they seinen nischanech geworden, that they are educated, in ihr Ruach und leut ihre Anweisungen, in her spirit and according to her instructions, und leut ihr Beispiel als Bitte von Nesidah Reina, and like her example, the daughter of the Rebbe. Al pizeh yesh loymar, dem tam farvos nochof b'Shvat. According to this, we can say, this is the reason why after Chof b'Shvat, Yom Histalkus from Bitoy, the day of the passing of the Rebbetzin, hat sich aufgetan der Shlav ha'achron, was achieved, the last stage, in zugreiten die Welt, in preparation, in preparing the world, als a dira lo yisborach v'tachtoinim, as a dwelling place for Hashem to the Geula, making it ready for the Geula. Varum shleimus inyan zeh kumt al yideu b'schar nesheu b'nois Yisrael. Because completion in this matter comes specifically through and as a reward for Jewish women and daughters. Seif Yud Beis. The Maila for Nesheu b'nois Yisrael, this advantage of Jewish women and daughters in the Avodah for Machan Adira Lo Yisborach B'Tateinim, in the service of making a dwelling place for Hashem, the Hisachdus von Eser und Achadasar, the fusion of 11 and 10, that man verstehen behektem, will understand, by way of introduction, a Toisves Biur, in giving more explanation in dem, was es hat sich früher gerät wegen der Avodah von Machen Adira B'Tachtenim, in that which we have spoken previously, in making a dwelling place for Hashem. V'baltas Chazal nutzen dem Loshen Dira B'Tachtenim, since Chazal use this expression, a dwelling place down in the lowest of all worlds, is verstandig is understood as me can verstehen der Teuchen der Fun, that we can understand the content of this durch vergleichen das zu diras ha'adam lamata, by comparing it to the dwelling of a human being here in this world, welche wird nistalshul von inin adira lamaila, which comes as a chain order result from the dwelling place above. Mizeh bepashtus, we see simply, as afal pi vos adira can bashtain, blois von amokim mesuyim, that even though a dwelling place is in a specific place, vos is mushal adiras adam, which is prepared for human dwelling, is aber shlemas hadira, however, a complete dwelling place, b'shas das is adira noah mit kelim noah, is specifically when it's a beautiful dwelling with beautiful vessels. Biz as shloisha marchivin daita shalodom elohein dira noah ve'isha noah ve'kelim noah. As Chazal say, there are three things that create the expansive mind of a person, and they are a beautiful dwelling, a beautiful wife, and beautiful vessels. Das heißt, that means, as in a dira bepashtus, that's in a dwelling place, in the most simple of sense, seinen voran zwei inyonim. There are two things. Aleph, firstly, adira is in ganzen bottle to the bal adira was lebt in here. There's the dwelling, which is completely nullified to the person who lives in the dwelling. Alle protim von der dira ke de boye seinen im mishamish. All details within the dira serve the person who is living there. Und in dem besteht their ganze Metzias, and their whole being is to serve the one that's dwelling there. Base, the Dira Noah is Marchiv Daita Shalodam. Then we see a second element, that a beautiful dwelling place expands the mindfulness of the person who is living there. And so too, it's understood in terms of making a dwelling for Hashem. Shleimus Hadira is davke b'shas dosis Hadira noah mit kelim noim. A complete dwelling is specifically when it's a beautiful dwelling place with beautiful vessels. Noisef ev dem was der Yid allein führt sich dorten beöfen noah. In addition to the fact that the Jew conducts themselves there in a beautiful way, via past for Knesset Yisrael, as it's befitting of the Jewish nation, Isha Noah, which is a beautiful wife to Hashem. Das heißt, that means, in Zugov derezu, in addition to the fact, was me macht euch von tachteinem adira fahren Eibischen, that we make a dwelling place from the lowest of all worlds to Hashem, be'oifen amucherich al pishuras adin, in a way which is necessary according to the rule of law, machmenes euch adira noah, we in additionally make it a beautiful dwelling place. Kipsak din halacha, as the halacha is, b'chol dover shehu l'shem ha'kel ha'toiv, she'yeh min ha'noah v'ha'toiv, that anything we do for Hashem should be of the best and the finest. In bona-based tefillah, yeh noah me beis yeshivasei. If a person builds a shul, it should be nicer than a person's home. Zeh keli ve'anvehu. This is my God, and I'll glorify him, I will beautify him. Hisna lefanav b'mitzvahs. We need to make mitzvahs beautiful. Asa lefanav sukkah noah v'lulav noah, making a beautiful sukkah, a beautiful lulav. The alderech, and similarly is moving benigeh to klolos haveda from machna dira b'tachtonim, in the general making of this dwelling, as das darf sein beöfen von dira noah. It has to be in a way of making a beautiful dwelling. Und das ist negeh nit nur zu shleimus hatachten, and that is not only important in terms of a complete dwelling in the lowest of all realms, nor euch to dem Baal Hadira, but it makes also a difference to the owner of the dwelling. Dira noah marchiva daita shalodem ha'elyon kavayachol. That, so to speak, the expansive mind of Hashem is also affected by this beautiful dira. Seif Yud Gimel. V'habiru b'zeh. What's the explanation? The shleimus hachibur v'hayichur von eser und achadasar. The complete fusion and unity of 10 and 11, was wird aufgetan durch ma'asenu va'avedosenu, which is achieved through our deeds and our aveda, v'dos is v'hadgosha in yom hasidah b'chedesh achadasar, as is emphasized in the 10th day of the 11th month, ubishleimus hagilui, and as it comes completely revealed in Chof Beis Shvat, on the 22nd of Shvat, tut oif achidush, this creates something new, was is nit given lifnei zeh, which wasn't apparent beforehand. Und der Fahr is the gula mitzvah v'hashleima, and therefore the complete and true redemption is, wenn es wird sein Shlema so innen von dir lo yizbara b'tachtenim, when there will be a complete dwelling place for Hashem down here. Gilu yoren sof baruch hu ba'elam hazah gashmi, a revelation of the infinite light of Hashem in the physical world. As eser vert ein zach mit achadasar, when 10 merges and becomes one with 11, tolu b'maseinu v'avedasenu kol zman meshach hagolus, and that's dependent on our aveda right throughout Golus. Mitzad dem gilu von achadasar mitzad atzmoi, from the perspective of number 11 by itself, is der Weg wie der Tachten kann das aufnehmen is durch bittul mitziusai. The only way the lower realm can take such a revelation is when it's nullified, parcha nishmasim, like the souls flew out at the time of the giving of the Torah. Mitzad dem Gilui von Eser mitzad atzmoi, and from the perspective of the revelation of number 10 from itself, Verde tachten tache nisachet mitalikus, the lowest realm truly does become one with godliness, aber no mit der Darge was is be'erech habriya, but only with a level of godliness that relates to the creation. Nit mitalikus shalamayla mihabriya chadasa, but not with a level of godliness that transcends creation, the number 11. However, through the avodah of a person, down here, refining and elevating the lower realms, macht man oif, one can achieve, as oich tachtoinim eser, that also the lower realms, which is number 10, mitzad inyonim heim, in their own parameters, zollen sein adira lo yisbarach, can become adira for Hashem. Nit not to the dargen and elikus welche seine be'erach ta'olam, not only to the level of godliness which is relevant to the world, nor euch to elikus was is shaloi be'erach, but also to the level of godliness which transcends the world. Bis to atzmus umuhus alein, to the very essence of godliness itself, unoisef of dira lo yisbarach, and in addition to making a dira for him, euch it becomes one with him. That Yesha Nivra Atzmoi is Yesha Amiti, which in the created being of the world, that's one with the true essence of Hashem. Und der Chiddush is nit nur in der Bria, and that novelty is not only in creation, as durch Avodas HaTachtonim, that through the Avodah of the lower realms, can the Bria oifnem nelakus was is shaloi be'erach ta'olam, can the creation accept godliness which is higher than the world? But even in the levels of godliness itself, Kimavur in Chassidus, as explained as in Chassidus, as dur chavedas ha'adam b'toyra mitzvahs b'tachtainim, that through the avodah of a person keeping Torah and mitzvahs down here in this world, veren oifgitzon zwein yonim, two things are achieved. Aleph, der eure leki was is shaloi be'erach ta'olam, the godly light, which is much higher than the world, und hat mitzadatzmei nit gekenntnis kabel werden in olam, which intrinsically could not be received by the world, was der Fahr is given dem Zimtzum, which was the whole reason why there was a Zimtzum. Ver nimshach in olamas, that light does come down in the world, ba'ofen asivern is battle mitziyusam, in a way in which the worlds are nullified, und ze nemen auf der Oir, and they take the light. Noch mehr, but a second thing is achieved. Es wird nimshach v'niskala an Oir chodesh v'nam atzmusay muhusi yisbarach, there is drawn down and revealed a new light from the essence of Hashem, shalamayla fun dem Oir shahoya memale mokem acholol, higher than the light that originally filled the cholol, the vacuum, which was originally there before the tzimtzum. And one can say even more, as durch der avodah from machana dira b'tachtonim, that through the avodah down here, ver nismale der tainud utshuka in atzmusa yisbarach vayachol, there is fulfilled the delight and the desire of atzmus, was nisava hakadosh baruch hu lo yisbarach dira b'tachtonim, which Hashem desired to have this dira, und shoykov amudei sheish, ze ha'olam shenishtoike hakadosh baruch hu livroisei, and Hashem has his desire to create the world fulfilled, was der nisava is davka in atzmusa yisbarach, which this nisava, this desire, is rooted in atzmus. V'yesh lomer, and we can say, as fundi zwein yonim kumen areis zwei nekudas, that from these two ideas come out 2 points, was darfen sein bei dem Adam ha'ovet, which need to be apparent by the person who's doing the avodah, in dem Oifen ha'avodah from machen die dira b'tachtenim, when they're making a dira b'tachtenim. Mitzad dem erstem inyan der chidush legabe habriya, from the perspective of the first point, which is a novelty for the creation, besteht der ikar avodah to ibermachen die dvarim gashmim b'tachtenim. The principal avodah is to transform the material down here. Be'inyan hester oira yisbarach, which there is a concealment down here. Ze sollen sein kelim uchsharim of gilu elokus, creating them vessels capable of receiving elokus. Durch machen tefillin miklaf gashmi, through making tefillin from a physical leather, tzitzis mitzemer gashmi, and tzitzis from wool, ubechlalas adira lo yisbarach, and in general a dwelling for Hashem, a mokem muchsher far gilu elokus and hashras hashchina biz far atzmusi yisbarach, a place which is prepared for a revelation of godliness and an indwelling of the Shekhinah for the essence of Hashem. V'al derech der erste inyan anal in adira bepashtos, like as we've spoken beforehand, the first point in making a dwelling, as the dira is in ganzen bottle to the baladira, that everything inside the apartment is completely nullified to the one who dwells in the apartment. Was lebt in der dira? Mitzad dem zweiten inyan, however, from the perspective of the second thing, der chidush l'mayla, which is a novelty, kum zu an, as the aveda darf sein, to schaffen a dira noah. There is an additional point that we need to create a beautiful dira. Und kelim noah, and with beautiful vessels, welche seine marchiv daita shaloden kanal, which expand the mindfulness of the person. V'al derech dem zweiten inyan in dira, like the second idea of the dira, noisiv to them was calling yoni hadira seinen bottle zum baladira, in addition to the fact that everything within the dira is nullified to the owner of the apartment, is the dira noah v'kelim noah marchivin daita shaloda. The beautiful dira and the beautiful vessels inside it expand the mind of the person. Sif Yud Dalet. Al pi anal werden verstehen die Sheiches derfun mit Neshei B'nai Yisrael. Now we'll understand the connection with Jewish women and daughters. Mezeh bepoil in adira bepashtus. We see clearly, simply, as that ikar noi v'noifi hadira v'hakelim, that the principal beauty of an apartment and its furniture, heim begashmius v'heim beruchnius, both material and spiritually, is tolu in that isha keres habayis, is dependent on the woman, the principal of the house. Uchiyodua as der inyan von Noah, as is well known that the idea of beauty, und der koyach to oifton Noah, and the capability and power to create beauty, is da b'miyuchad by an isha, is principally by a woman, isha Noah, a beautiful woman, kala Noah v'chasuda, a beautiful kala, and a kind kala, bizas ein ho'isha elo liyofi. Chazal say that a woman is only for her beauty. Yofi beruchnias, spiritual beauty was der fun, which from that ver nishtalshel in yofi begashmias stems physical beauty. V'yesh shloiman, one may say, as das ver nishtalshel der fun, that comes from was azoy is das euch in der aveda von machen adira betachtenim, that comes from the aveda of creating a dira betachtenim, as in Neshei B'nai Yisrael, that in women and daughters is tolui achelik ikri fun der avoda, in them is dependent a extremely important part of this avoda to machen, as the dira soll sein a dira noam it's kelim noam, that on them it's dependent that the dira should be a beautiful dira with beautiful vessels. Wie unterstrochen b'miyuchend in die drei Ikrias dike mitzvahs shalein nishan kol beis Yisrael, as specially emphasized the three principal mitzvahs upon which the whole house of Israel rests: hadlokas neder Shabbos, kodesh v'Yom Tov, the lighting of Shabbos and Yom Tov candles, kashrus ho'achilu shasiyah, kosher food and drink, und taras mishpacha, and family purity. Rosh Tevis hachein, which is the Rosh Tevis hachein, chen v'yofi v'noi, grace, charm, beauty. Was die mitzvahs tun oifes soll so sein, which these mitzvahs achieve. In addition to in general making a dira noah, they create a beautiful dira. Und kelim noim, and beautiful vessels. durchgenommen mit die Schönheit, geistige und Ruchten Gashmias von Kashrus, Tara und Kedusha, permeated with the beauty, spiritual and physical, of kosher purity and holiness. Weil derech ze in dem Inyan von Chinuch Habonim v'Habonis, and similarly in the education of sons and daughters, was das stellt weg dem Yesod HaChaim von jeden Menschen, which that creates the foundation of life for each person. The Rebbe brings in Ha'ara number 101 that it's brought in many Sfarim that the kashrus of a person's food creates their whole character and being, and the refinement of character comes through kosher food. And similarly in Taras HaMishpacha, the beauty and purity of the children and their health, physical and spiritual, comes from keeping Taras HaMishpacha. And so too the lighting of the Shabbos candles, which brings a candle of mitzvah and light of Torah into the house. Zetman bepoil, so we see, as Zeir Chinik is abhängig von der Mutter. The principal education of the children in the house is dependent on the mother. Ubefragt der Chinuch v'hadracha von junge Kinder, especially early stage education. Und was jünger and the earlier, als mehr ist das Tolo in der Mutter. It's all dependent on the mother. Sie geht in sehr rein von gar jung. She instills in them from an early age on the chayes und ruach von Yiddishkeit. She gives them the spirit and the life of Yiddishkeit. Was al Yesod ze wachsen neus bonim u bonis heisken b'teira b'mitzvah seha, which on that foundation is built. Sons and daughters who engage in Torah and mitzvahs, b'shleimas, b'ruchanis, b'gashmias, complete spiritually and materially, ba'ofen noah v'yafa, in a beautiful and refined way. Das heißt, that means, as neusef auf dem, was die Kinder sollen sein, oiske Torah mitzvahs al derech haragel. In addition to the children engaging in Torah and mitzvahs, as usual, gittin zei arein die Mutter, the mother instills in them dem Geschmack und Warmkeit, mit der Edelkeit und Liebschaft, was ist da bemjuchen in der Natur von der Shea B'nai Yisrael. The mother instills in the children the Geschmack, the warmth, with the refined feeling and with the energy which is particularly by Jewish women and daughters. As their Esig b'Torah mitzvahs are sein b'ofen noah b'toiv, so that their engagement in Torah mitzvahs is beautiful and good. As zoyas mikenoifim anweisen and sagen zeh kelim and veil. So you can even point with a finger and say, this is beautiful. Kenira ledugma, as is seen, for example, in the minhag tov von Yiddish mutters, in the good custom of Jewish mothers to singen to zeir gar kleine kinderlach, to sing lullabies to their small children, noch liegendig in Vigela, as they are lying in their cots, as Torah is the best Zach. The Torah is the best thing. The ziste Zach is the sweetest thing. The schönste Zach, the most beautiful thing. Was das wurzelt ein in dem Kind, that engraves in the child, euch wenn wächst euch, even when they grow older, gam ki yaskin lo yosem emena, so that when they grow older, they won't turn away from it, a tiefe Liebschaft, a deep love, und Teierkeit, and precious to alle inyonim von Torah mitzvahs, feeling to Torah and mitzvahs. Seif Tesvav. Der Inyan von hereinbringen Schönheit. So this idea of bringing beauty, Noah, in der Dira, in the dwelling, und in alle Inyonim von Yiddishkeit, and permeating everything in Yiddishkeit with his beauty, Zetman begolui in mitzvahs hadlokas neder Shabbos kodesh v'yontav. We see especially in Shabbos and Yontav candle lighting. Durch dem, was a jüdische Frau und Tochter zinton a heilige Licht far Shabbos v'yontav mit abrocha, through that which a Jewish woman and daughter lights a Shabbos candle with a blessing, brings sie herein in Stub heilige Lichtigkeit. She brings into the house holy light, Warmkeit und Schönkeit, warmth, beauty, Neue, was beleuchtet bescheint die ganze Stube, which illuminates and shines throughout the entire house, und alle Bnei Bayis, and all in the household, euch dem Baal und die Banim, both her husband and her sons, mit neir mitzvah v'teira oir, it illuminates them with the candle of a mitzvah and the light of Torah, al inyanim von Torah mitzvahs, and all matters of Torah mitzvahs. Anhebendig dervon was mit hadlakas neir Shabbos, führt sie herein dem Yom HaShabbos Kodesh for kol bnei Abayis, starting with the fact that with her candle lighting she brings in the holiness of Shabbos for the entire household. Und erst danach kommt Tfilas Arvis and Kiddush from the Baal. Only thereafter is the davening and Ma'ariv and Kiddush of the husband, but she starts. Und der Kiddush in Ner Shabbos, the Yom Tov is, and the novelty of the candles of Shabbos and Yom Tov is, as das tutoifes soll sein adira noah, that this achieves it should be a beautiful dwelling, but ofen goluile in a basar, in a revealed way. Jeder kann sehen, any person can see wie die Deire, wer beleuchten und bescheint mit der Lichtigkeit, mit der leichten dicker Licht. Everybody can see how it's illuminated with these shining candles. Wie Shlomo and one may say, as das is eine von die Teimen für was die Remach mitzvahs ase. This is one of the reasons why the 248 positive commandments, which are Remach Evorim de Malka, the 248 limbs of the king, mit die Beis Yodayim, together with a person's two hands, die zwei kloles dicke Kaben von Abba v'Yira, which are the two lines of love and fear, welche bringen ein Shlemus in Kiyama mitzvahs, which bring a completion in Torah mitzvahs. They are the two wings which allow Torah mitzvahs to fly above. Seine begematria ner, so 248 plus ahava and yira equals 250, which is the gematria of the word ner. Weil in hadlokas ner drik sichos begoli de shlemus von kiyum kol mitzvahs. Because in lighting that candle, you have articulated all the mitzvahs. To machen farnebish nadira no betachteine, making for Hashem a beautiful dwelling place in this world. Siftes Zayin. That's also hinted to in the name of the Rebbetzin Chayamushka, was badait chayes un reach besamin kanal siftes, which expresses life and sweet scent. Bechdea soll sein adira noe, in order that the home should be beautiful, fordert sich as in der dira soll sein chayes. It's necessary that the home should be energetic. Sie soll sein a lebendige Stub. It should be a lively home. Was chayes is behisofa to dem etzem mitzias adover, which chayes is something which is additional to the very being of it. It needs to be a lively being. Und noch mehr, dort soll sich vielen a reach besamim. More than that, in the house there needs to be an aroma, a reach tov v'noah, a good, beautiful atmosphere. Heim beruchnius and heim begashmius, both spiritually and materially. Was gibt zu noch mehr neuen dira, which adds to the beauty of the dwelling. Al derech wie de hisafa was kommt zu durch eure haneres, like the addition that comes through the candle lighting. Und das ist noch mehr behadgosha b'yem Shabbos was in Yoni is oinik. And that comes in a greater manner on Shabbos, whose whole idea is pleasure and delight. And similarly in the spiritual matters, is a dira noah, a beautiful dwelling, tolui in them, is dependent in that, as a soll sein, sei the avoda from chaya, there needs to be both the avoda of chaya, the chayas pnimi und koiches pnimim, an inner energy and the inner soul powers, und sei the avoda from mushka, and also the avoda of mushka, the koiches hamakif, and the peripheral soul powers. Biz yichidush benefesh, to the extent of the quintessence of the soul, that inyan von tainug noah, which is the whole idea of delight and beauty. Was das tut teuf, and that achieves, as noisav to sein adira betachtene bechlal, then in addition just to making a general dwelling, was is bottle lo yisbarach, which is nullified to Hashem, veritas adira noah, it becomes a beautiful dwelling. Vidos is oich bepashta sa'inyan, as it simply is, as the reach noah from mushka, that beautiful scent of mushka poiled has an effect, as b'chol habayis ol zayin reach v'ruach noah, has a beautiful effect that the whole house is filled with this aroma of beauty. Azan noe velch is meishavas nefesh, a beauty which restores the soul, v'hanasham nenes mimenu, the soul benefits from it. Und das is marchiv daita shaladam, it expands the mindfulness of a person. Das bringt herein, that it brings, ubefrat zusammen mit Neira Shabbos Kodesh v'Yontav, and especially with the candle lighting of Shabbos and Yontav, an oir chodesh v'chayes chodesh, a new light and a new energy, in kol b'nei abayis, in the entire household, and in kol adira kula, and in the entire home. Biz, and by extension, in kol olam kula, in the whole world, and in ganz seder ishtalshalos, and in the entire order of creation. Koilel und on hoibendik fun, inclusive of and starting from hanoah v'tainug by them bal hadiro hadmiti, benefit and delight to the true owner of this home, der Eibishter Hashem himself. Was nisave soll sein farim adira b'tachtenim, who had the desire to have this dwelling in this place. Bis die Shleimus von Eure shel Mashiach, until the completion of the light of Mashiach, Baruch shel Melech HaMashiach, and the spirit of King Mashiach, Bigula Amitzis V'Ashlema, in the true and complete redemption, Welche kommt bischar noshen tzidkonis b'Yisrael Kanal, which comes as a reward for the righteous women of the generation, as we've previously mentioned. And according to this we can say, as the Hosafa von Chof Bei Shvat, Achazar Sa Bekiflaim, that the addition of the 22nd of Shvat, which is 2 times 11, is koilol, includes as noisiv to them was as ver the yichud von Eser un Achadasar, in addition to the fact that it's the unity of 11 and 10, Yom Asira b'Chodesh Achadasar, the 10th day of the 11th month, Biz Yom Achadasar b'Chodesh Achadasar, until the 11th day of the 11th month, Adira b'Tachtenim b'Chlal, a general dira, Git zu der Zweite Achadasar, so the second 11 adds as dos veret adira noah, that it becomes also a beautiful dira. Was is marchiv daita shalodam elyon, which expands the mindfulness of Hashem. V'yesh loimer as durch them, and through this, was memachtoif adira noah, which we create a beautiful dira. Was is marchiv daita shalodam, which expands the mind of the person, is noch mer mudgish the hisachtos von eser und achadasar, is more emphasized the unity between 10 and 11, weil neusef dem was das is adira habatela utfela la yisbarach, because then in addition to the fact that this is a dira which is nullified to Hashem, is the dira batachtenim moisef u'mechadesh anaya hisracha v'safila legabe l'mayla kaviyachol. This dira creates a novelty that even kaviyachol by Hashem, there's something added, an expansiveness of mind and a fulfillment of the Nisava. Sif Yuzayin. Derfun hotzman dem limud farnasheu b'nois Yisrael b'chlal, and from this we have a instruction for Jewish women and girls in general, ubimiyuchad, and especially for the shluchas tichyena von kvei kedushas meire b'chami admud desiderenu, for the shluchas of the Rebbe, welche haben sich dort zusammengeklimmt mit Mikol Katz Tevel, who have gathered here from all around the world, in them Kinos HaShluchas HaElami, in the International Convention of the Shluchas. Noisiv to them, in addition to that, was alle Yidden haben die Shlichas from the Meibishten, that all Yidden have a Shlichas from Hashem, to machen adira le'izbarach v'tachtenim, to create adira, Kim Dubov kamapamim baruch, as we've spoken many times, haben nesheu b'nois Yisrael, Jewish women and girls have the shlichus miyuchedes, have a special shlichus to machen, to make as das soll sein a dira noe mit kelim noem, a special shlichus to make a beautiful dira with beautiful vessels. Anheben dik durch dem kiyum v'chizuk, starting with the establishment and strengthening von die drei mitzvahs hanal, of the three above-mentioned mitzvahs, shenitnu lohen b'miyuchad, which have been especially given to them in zeir dira pratis, in their personal dwelling, kashrus ha'achila u'shasiyah, kashrus, keeping kosher food and drink, taras ha'mishpacha, family purity, uneder Shabbos kodesh v'yontif, and candle lighting on Shabbos and Yontif. Koilul, which is inclusive of the hishtadlus, the effort, as oich kleina meidalach mishihigiu lidei havana, that also small children who have reached the age of understanding, zol onsind in the neighbors should light the candles. Frie farazeir mutter, they should light before their mother. Bichdei di mutter zol ze kennen helfen, so that their mother should be able to help them. Und azoi euch, and so too, zen mashpia sein auf andere neshei b'nois Yisrael, they should influence other Jewish women and daughters as euch ze sollen kayim, mechazik sein the mitzvahs v'amuros, that they should also fulfill and strengthen these mitzvahs. Ubechlalos, and in general, liktov ze achelik ikri from their achrayas, the rest, the responsibility and a main responsibility, unschus and merit, to machen adira lo yisbarach b'tachtonim, to create a dwelling place for Hashem, adira noam it's kelim noam, a beautiful dira with beautiful kelim, v'asu l'migdosh v'shachanti b'seicham, making for me a sanctuary so that I may dwell in them. B'seich kol echad v'echad miYisrael, amongst every single Jew, onhebendig by sich alein, starting by they themselves, und in der ganze Stub, and in the entire house. Derfun, thereby aufmachen a mishkan und mikdosh l'Hashem, making a dwelling place for Hashem, a bayis Torah tefillah gemilas chasadim, a house of Torah tefillah and gemilas chasadim, mekim meduba kame pamim, as we've spoken many times. Durch sich allein aufführen, through personally conduct, und azoi euch mechanach sein die Kinder und bnei bayis, and also educating the children and family via pas for a mishkan, how is befitting for a mishkan and mikdash l'Hashem, and befrat a mishkan and mikdash no, especially a beautiful mishkan and mikdash. Koilol inclusive, durch dem was me brengt herein in Stub, through that which we bring into the house, und in jeden cheder in Stub, and in every room of the house, in yonim from Torah tefillah gemilas chasadim, matters of Torah tefillah and gemilas chased, und euch versichern as jeder Kind in Stub, and also making sure that every child in the house soll haben an eigenen Chumash, and andere Sfarim should have their own Chumash, and other Sfarim, Siddur, Tzedakah Pushka, und matech euch an eigenen kleinen Tanya. And it would be good also to have a small Tanya. Ubechlalas, and in general, annehmen achlotas tevas, to take good decisions, to moisif u'mechazik sein dem shetter von chinuch b'nei u'b'nois Yisrael, to add and strengthen Jewish education, anhebendik von gar kleiner vaysoif, especially in the early years. V'oid v'gam zeh ikar, and also, and this is the main thing, b'frat b'dereinu zeh, especially in our generation u'b'miyuchad, and especially by the shluchas tichena, by the shluchas, to mashpia sein of andere noshim u'bonis, to influence other women and girls, b'chol inyoni Torah mitzvahs, in all matters of Torah mitzvahs and Yiddishkeit, hafotzas ha-Torah v'ayadus, in spreading Torah and Yiddishkeit, in alle drei kavim, in all the three areas of Torah Avodah, gemilas chasadim and hafotzas ha-mayonas chutza. Ubefragt nemendig dem Koach von der Rebbe Nesiderenu, von sein Beis HaKnesses und Beis HaMedrash, taking the Koach from the Rebbe and from the Rebbe's shul, Ubayas Maase Tovim, and from the house of good deeds, was gefindt sich hitze, in which we are now. Wo hat sich oise gewen, in which he worked, be'eser shonim achroines b'chaim chayusa be'almadein, in his last 10 years of his life, in Torah and Averas, gemilas chasadim, ubahadgosha, in alle drei inyanim, in all three together, und in afotzes hamayonos chutza, und das ist der noch nimshach geworden al yidei kol echad v'achas, and the continuation through each individual, be'oifen, and in a way from Malam B'Kodesh, of elevating and always going up in matters of Kedusha, always adding in light. Inclusive and principally bismanenu zeh in our time, the letzte goyim for the Geula, the last minutes before the Geula, to ma'oire sein sich, to arouse oneself, und alle Neshei B'nai Yisrael, and all Jewish women and daughters, wegen dem Geudel Haschus, about the tremendous merits for Neshei B'nai Yisrael, for Jewish women to bring in the Gula mitzvahs v'hashlema takeover miad mamish, to bring the Gula immediately, which comes through the righteous women of the generation. Sif Yud Ches. V'hi rotzeh be Hashem's will. V'hu ha'ikar mikol ha'ikrim, this is the main thing. As Cain ti'alona b'poil, this should be literally, and takeover miad mamish, and immediately. Or befrat kumendik from Chav Bei Shvat, and especially coming from Chav Bei Shvat, b'cha Yivarach Yisrael, as bischus, that's in the merit, or bischar, and in the reward of Noshim Tzidkonius, of righteous women, soll alle Yidden shein gleich nigel werden bigula mitzvahs v'shlema. All Yidden should immediately be redeemed in the true and complete redemption. And those who repose in the dust will arise of Besecham, and amongst them the Rebbe and the Rebbetzin, mit alle tzadikim v'tzidkonius, and all the righteous von alle neshamas bechlal, and all souls, und zusammen mit alle Yidden, together with all Yidden was sein, and it's the neshamas bekufim, and together with all Yidden who are here, souls in body, la riches yamim v'shanim teves, long years, neshama bria beguf bari, a healthy soul in a healthy body, gatesman iber, so we go, b'lishum hefsikla, without any interruption, in chayim nitzchim, in everlasting life, bigula mitzvahs v'shlema alidei Mashiach tzidkenu, in the true redemption through Mashiach, v'teikuf miyad mamish, u'lechol reish teikuf miyad mamish, bepashtos mamish, literally now.